So I noticed the leaves curling on this Monstera alba that I was babysitting for a friend, so I wanted to check the roots, and when I went to pull the plant out, nothing came because the roots completely molded away. This is what root rot looks like. To save this plant, I'm going to propagate it into a few different sections. So you see these aerial roots growing, those each grow out of nodes. I'm going to cut about 1 inch below each one of those nodes. I kind of struggled there, so I had to chop off camera. You can see here, I have about 1 inch below the node. I'm submerging into water. In a couple weeks, these are going to grow new roots and I'll be able to repot them up. You could do this even if you have a healthy plant and you just want to grow new ones. Make sure to follow along. I'll give you some updates along the way about how these are doing.
Should be like that. Now it's not. The size of this pot is not allowing for it to have a deep enough root system to support all of this growth. Getting it out of the pot, it was barely hanging onto those roots, so I thought better to snap it off, root this one. The other two were also just going to fall off, so this one has roots. I'll put it back in the old pot and I'll root this one.
Did you know Lucky Bamboo is not a bamboo at all, but a Dracaena? Oh boy, that's styrofoam. I'm not even surprised anymore. Yes, that's a rubber band. And let's take this off too. I'm gonna show you 2 ways to set this up. The first way is to line a container with rocks, place your plant in there, and keep filling it up until your plant stands. Then fill it up to the top of the rocks with water and you're all set. In the next setup, I like to evenly bunch several stems together and secure it with a plant-friendly strap. This is actually Velcro made for plants. Next, you take a small shallow bowl and place your plants in the middle. Fill it in with rocks and make sure it's secure. Water it to the brim and you're all set. Voila, guys. A little update, I found another container that I like better for the first setup. Thanks for watching.
If you're a plant killer and you also want to learn how to save money on plants, pay attention. Today I'm going to show you how to bring a plant back from the dead. When you're trying to save a plant, there's 3 things that you want to check first. Number 1 is the color of the leaves. This one is dark green and still sticking up, so I know it's healthy and it still has a chance. This one is pale and floppy. To help your plant save energy, chop that off. The next thing you want to do is feel the stem. If it feels hard, you still have a chance to save it. If it feels squishy, the plant is already too far gone and you probably won't be able to save it. Now the third and most important thing to do is check the roots. Try not to touch them because the oils from your hands will turn them brown. If the roots look like this, your plant is okay. But if you pull on the roots and they fall off, it could be root rot. So now at this point you have 2 options. You can trim the roots and replant it, or you can do it my way, cut the roots off, rehab it, and regrow everything from scratch.
So lately I've been in my fields, right? And let me tell you, I just stopped caring for my plants completely. Just walked right by them, didn't even do anything. And of course, this poor plant was like, help me, please. But when I looked at it, I saw that enough was enough. I felt bad. So I did the responsible thing and repotted it. It overgrew its moss pole by a lot. So I chopped it up. Didn't even wait for the roots to grow. I just stuck that bad boy in the soil and watered it. And as long as the soil stays moist, the roots will grow back. Now instead of 1 big plant, I have 2. You love to see it.
And we're back with rescuing another grocery store plant again. This time we're doing lemongrass. If you're sitting there thinking, what is lemongrass? Delicious, that's what it is. So first thing you want to do is peel off all the ugly outer layers, and then you can cut it from the top or you can cut it down to the white part. You don't need to do anything to the bottom, just stick it in water, and in about 2 weeks you'll have roots. Now, if you want to put this in your garden, it is a natural mosquito repellent, so that's just something to think about. What do you think I should propagate next?
And we're back rescuing another grocery store plant again. This plant would not hold moisture at all, and now it makes sense because look how root bound that is. When plants are root bound, they won't be able to hold moisture, so you just gotta take that hoe out of its pot and put it in a new one. I ended up splitting up this basil plant so it would have more space in the pot. Then I just put it in a well-draining soil mix and I've just filled it up. Now it'll be able to get a lot bigger and healthier, and I won't have to go to the grocery store to buy basil.
Let's attempt to save this plant. This is a ZZ plant. It got too big. I know, these are like hard to kill. It got way too big, so I put it outside, and then it got torched by the sun from San Diego, and then just rained on. So we need to propagate this guy. Not all of it is messed up. As you can see, some of the nodes are still good, but we're gonna propagate a lot of it. I found this vase, we just need to clean it out. As you guys can see, I like adding things to my plants to boost them. I'm gonna put some shells, rocks, and fun things at the bottom. Clean water, let's add our rocks and fun things. Oh my God, don't break your glass. These shells have already been cleansed and cleaned, so they're not salty anymore. That's important for your plant. Clean shears, you are gonna wanna cut. I'm gonna do it this way. We're gonna cut right here because these are healthy still, just not the bottom parts. So we're gonna cut these off. I like to cut mine at an angle right above all the nasty stuff, and we're gonna stick them in the water. Okay, now you have something that looks like this. This is a guy that I've had propagating for a while. If you change the water out, it will grow new roots and eventually you can replant it.
Hi friends, you know what time it is. I bought these variegated stringer pearls a while ago and I'm going to give them a little makeover. I think the key to not killing these guys right away is leaving it alone for a really long time after you buy it. Ugh.
What is that?
What's that? Is that a worm?
Oh yeah, that's a worm.
That's a worm! This is a first.
It's a baby!
Is it just a stump? Anyways, leave your plants alone. This soil's really moisture retaining and I don't want that for my pearls because pearls themselves retain moisture. Their soil doesn't need to. It's just not good. I'm gonna be using a mix of regular potting soil and then a handful of perlite. Now the fun part. I filled this up with soil most of the way and I'm just laying these in here with the roots facing down. I'm probably gonna use a bunch of these and cut them in half to pin them down. Got all them in there. Now I'm gonna get messy. Just top off your soil and shake. No more worms or wet soil. I won't water until the pearls start to pucker. And I actually don't bottom water. As long as the pearls are actually thirsty, you can top water. It's not a big deal. Friends, today we have ourselves a little bit of a plant rescue. I had a new leaf coming in on this philodendron and the petiole busted right through the leaf and broke itself, as you can see. So I'm gonna try and peel open the leaf and rescue it. It might be too far gone based on how the petiole looks. This is our Hail Mary. I use a variety of things, but I'm gonna go in with this nail clipper and use the tip of this. Leaves are extremely fragile before they've hardened off. Any damage can end up looking like this. That is if we keep the leaf. I'm gliding this along the side of the leaf and peeling it open. It is starting to open up now. I actually need to get off the rest of this bottom caterpillar. By the way, the plant did do this all on its own. This is going to be very difficult, if not impossible. It would have been easier if the petiole wasn't so big. This hurts you as much as it hurts me. Okay. Oh my God. There we go. Here we are. My planty instincts are actually telling me to stop here. Let me know if something similar has happened to you, and if you think we're gonna keep this leaf. Regardless, her leaves are beautiful, and we have a growth point. You're killing me.
This small tree-looking plant is actually a shrub called Broom escoba. It had been marked down to $1 and left to dry out in a pile of plants that didn't sell. Finding this soon-to-be trash was like finding a diamond in a thrift store mistaken for a sequin. Great find. This shrub grows out to be very large, so I decided to plant it in a planter to control the spread of the roots. If I can get those roots to grow back, this shrub will bring butterflies, birds, and other pollinators to my garden, adding both beauty and an opportunity to learn.
Here's what our mobile repotting service looks like. Usually I would do this in the back of the van, but as you'll see here in a minute, this plant was gigantic. This is a massive pothos that the person's pot was breaking out of. So it was time for a soil change and time for an upgrade in the pot. It took me a long time to untangle all the vines from the previous trellis. The previous trellis had rotted away also. It wasn't really supporting anything anymore. So we're gonna go ahead and replace that as well. But it was tied up in a lot of places, and I'll show you at the end of the video, the vines on this thing are super, super thick. Probably the thickest that I've ever seen in a in-home, like true houseplant, not one that's growing outside or anything like that. The root ball was not as large as I thought it was going to be, which is actually nice for me because it wasn't super heavy. But you can see me squishing the roots to make sure that they are healthy. I cut away all the extra dead stuff. It's not just about repotting. You also want to make the plant look nice and do all those little tedious chores that maybe have gone by the wayside for a period of time. It's about now that I remembered that I had gloves, but it was a little bit too late. So I mixed up some soil because we're about to put this baby in its new home. A little bit of regular potting mix and some perlite will do the trick. They do like a little extra drainage. Had to keep the original pole in there because it was very heavily attached to that wood, and I didn't want to damage the plant by trying to remove it from that. So here's our new trellis. This is a cedar trellis, and now we're just going to start vining them back on. This is probably one of the more fun parts. You kind of get to redesign the thing and kind of set it up for success so that it can keep vining and fill in all the dead spots, all the blank areas, and make it look nice and full and happy and healthy. On here I did a little propagation because we had a ton of stem without any leaves. So that's how I do it right there. Cut it and I just put it right back in the soil. These things root up super easily, so it won't be a problem. So there we go. We've got a nice new, gosh, this is probably like an 18-inch pot. Not cracked, it's perfectly nice. Look at these vines. I told you I was gonna show them to you. These are like as thick as my thumb. This is the backside there. Try not to put too much on the backside because it will be up against a wall. I was actually here for about 3 hours doing other plants, but I'll show that in another video.